the Nano.
I felt really, really, really good when I bought the first iPhone.
UPS.
Dude, I'm waiting for BlackBerry to come back, dude, because I miss my BlackBerry. That was the best thing.
Blackberries.
They're
They're coming back, bro.
BlackBerry
I have BlackBerry. I'm still on stock.
I felt like a businessman when I had my BlackBerry.
Excuse me.
Hell yeah.
Like the protagonist in this show, BlackBerry is dead. Welcome to another special TV episode of Season 3 of 3.5 Gentlemen, the podcast, where 3 of the 4 hosts provide a refined and intellectual analysis of movies from our private collections, while one of us tries desperately to keep up. We'll let you decide which host is which, but for now, my name is Sean, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Jeremiah.
God, yo.
Eddie.
Can you give me another 5 minutes, please?
And Brandon.
I literally never have a quote. Ever.
That's how cool you are. That's just, he's the cool guy.
Jesus.
That's like we expect it now, though. If you ever had a quote, I wouldn't be ready.
You know what? I take so many damn notes, but I never take a note on a quote, ever.
Anyways, okay, well, let me look at this script. I haven't looked at it yet for today. Before we dive into Season 4 of our podcast in January, with many more of our favorite films, we'll be finishing out the calendar year by taking a look at one of our most popular TV shows of the year. Jeremiah, what do you think that's going to be?
Oh, I think it's going to be fantastic, actually. As with every review we give, our goal is to answer one simple question. How many drinks does it take to get through the film, or in this case, a show that we just watched? Now, at the end of the podcast, we'll rate each episode based on a scale of 0 to 5, with 0 being the perfect episode that you could watch stone cold sober, and 5 being the sort of the episode that makes you want to get run over by a speeding car as you innocently walk across the street after uncovering a major development in a years-old criminal case.
With that, what do we have scurrying across the floorboards this evening, gentlemen?
Well, tonight we continue with the newest Netflix phenomenon, Wednesday, which is still making its twisted presence known to viewers all over the world. The season follows Wednesday Addams as she settles into life at the prestigious Nevermore, which is a boarding school for the outcasts of society that includes vampires, werewolves, sirens, and faceless things. While at Nevermore, she stumbles onto a murder mystery involving students from the school and members of Jericho, the neighboring town full of normies. But as she comes to realize over each episode, the Addams family has direct ties to the murderous goings-on. The season has an IMDb score of 8.4 and an average critic score of 72%, with an audience score of 86% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yo, this series is like really becoming very fucking huge. I mean, have you guys not noticed it? Or,
I've noticed a couple things. Number one is that the mythos of the show, like the stuff that happens in the show, is becoming part of meme culture, is becoming part of like everyday culture, and I think that's fun. When a show starts memeing and making fun of itself, you know it's arrived. And I think it's really. I remember when Schitt's Creek did that with David and folding the cheese and all the different, funny shit that came from Schitt's Creek. I feel like this show is just finally getting there where it's starting to meme itself.
But the crazy thing is it's happening in, a really short amount of time, where I feel like Schitt's Creek, that was happening in like season 2.
It took 5 seasons. Yeah, it took 5 seasons for them to get popular.
With this episode, guys, we get we get after the dance, right? And we get more into. Is this when you get Gomez and Morticia?
We get the family, man. The family comes
Bugsy
into town,
and Lurch and Lurch.
Yeah. So let's start with I think the reemergence of Catherine Zeta-Jones, wonderfully playing Morticia, and Gomez Addams.
I like her.
Once again, Luis. What's his name?
Luis Guzman.
Luis Guzman.
Guzman.
We kind of did not appreciate him in the first episode necessarily. Since then, I think he has grown into the character wonderfully.
Yeah.
And I think he came to light in this episode in a way that you at least understood his casting, and you at least understood the way they were going with the character. And I think that at least for me, it played beautifully, because I think that this episode is I think Wednesday has a struggling relationship with her mother, but with her father, they have a different type of relationship. And I think it shines in this episode, and I think that's the heart of this episode. And for me, this is my favorite episode of the whole series. So,
So I'm going to disagree.
Really?
I love Luis Guzman. I think he's one of the best character actors out there, but I just feel like he's not in his element right here. I feel like he's trying to push it too much. And it's not just because I have, Raul Julia and other versions of Gomez. I just feel like Guzman, he detracts from what's on screen. Is that you're constantly kind of, I don't want to say you're trying to question what his motive is and what he's doing, but to me, it just doesn't catch. I think that Catherine Zeta-Jones, though, is a perfect, beautiful role or cast.
But back to your point, Brandon, I think that is the point of the episode is you along with Wednesday are learning that her parents are not what she expected them to be. They are embroiled in this decades old murder, and he's not supposed to be that person that you're certain of his alliances. However, in the end, you realize that it's always been about family. It's always been about protecting Morticia, and it's always been about protecting Wednesday. And I think that concept right there does emerge in the show. So I don't think he necessarily.
But it's not the character; it's the actor.
Up screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that. I'm not defending it necessarily. I'm just saying that that hope was the purpose of the episode.
I think this episode has everything regarding to family and baggages, because it's just not Wednesday that's actually experiencing this. Every person, every character inside that school has their family coming in, and yet there is some type of it's affecting their whole lifestyle and whatnot. And I really liked how it's like at the end of this episode, you have all of them choosing a different path of not following the footsteps of their parents and whatnot. And I actually like this episode a lot regarding to you seeing the character arc on each character kind of moving away, and having an understanding of their family, but they're not choosing the same path. That's
like
what
Bianca. Bianca's a perfect example of that, Jeremiah, in that she is basically, forging a new path independent of her mother, who she feels is in a cult, which I believe is going to be the premise of season 2. That whole concept. That she's rejecting that whole methodology, and then you see Wolf Girl, which I can never remember her.
Enid.
It's just really funny to watch her mother, and it took you all 2 seconds to make comments. Like it's our parents do the same thing about non-wolf related things. It's funny to see it used.
It's interesting how it's all on the mother side, right? It's about mother-kid relationships as opposed to father, I think.
Eddie, what were you going to say?
Going back, I'm going to go back a little bit more with what Brandon was talking about with Gomez and Morticia. Morticia. This is the first time I actually got to see more of Gomez, right? And I almost felt like it was forced with their connection. I didn't believe it as it started breaking apart with their connection more with this episode for me.
Well said, Eddie.
I really enjoyed both. Characters, but I felt like there was missing some type of a spark. And with Gomez, I always imagine, one of my friends actually told me this, and I was actually almost looking for it now, in which I almost don't know if that persuaded my eye, but I started paying attention to it. But overall, this whole parent, come to school week. It became real obvious that I feel like all the students started banding together of oh God, like our parents are here. And you almost got the feeling of Wednesday connecting with Bianca a little bit on a different level of we both are let's put aside our hatred towards each other and let's just get past this fucking week.
I'm going to disagree with you on that part, bro, because, it's your thought. It's what you saw in the episode. I kind of agree with Sean with this episode that I did see a connection with Gomez and Wednesday, especially when in the jail cell and whatnot.
Gomez and the wife, though, I was saying.
Oh, but there's that great line, Jeremiah has it. I think he's got the line prepped up. Where you're talking about their connection. I think was it Morticia who says arrested for murder. What is it?
Oh no, that's when there was younger hot Gomez, and they go back to the 90s, and she goes, seeing you in handcuff, accused of murder, I never love you more. It was but that's what's so funny. You actually now, brother, now you're thinking about it. I actually thought the younger Gomez and the younger Morticia had more of a connection. You just saw it on screen more than you saw with Luis Guzman and Catherine Zeta-Jones. But I actually like Guzman in this one here. I mean, I thought he was really good with Wednesday, especially that between each
I give
other.
you that. Yes,
I thought
I
that
give
was
you
really
that.
good.
Yeah, the mother, the father daughter,
Yeah.
the father daughter connection was nice.
What did you think of the plot? What did you think of the? It was kind of a self-contained episode, independent of the grander story for a lot of it. I mean, it still touched on what's going on in Jericho and with the chief of police and stuff like that. But what?
That's the shittiest cop, dude. I'm
Yeah,
just
I
saying,
mean,
man. Of all the fucking cops I've seen, dude, this guy's like, she's literally giving them like this whole season, like, evidence and whatnot, and he chooses to fucking just be this dumb fucking cop in this town, dude.
Is he being dumb?
Yes.
Is he
Well,
being
I'm
dumb?
not spoiling anything.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
Anyway, so what was interesting? What I found interesting is you have this murder, and I always love when they show a scene that you're sure of what happened. Everyone's sure of what happened. Only it's not exactly what happened, and then you kind of have the flashbacks. You kind of have the, the revelation that it was not Gomez, it was actually Morticia, and you have kind of that back and forth. And I thought that was a very interesting way to change the character and why Gomez was so devoted to Morticia. It's just like
I did like that twist, Sean. How there's almost what's that? There's not two sides to the story. There's three sides to the story, possibly even four, right? So that's what Gomez was hiding this whole time. Like that's how much love he has for his wife. Like he from the very beginning, he was willing to take this hit, and have a cover up to the cover up. It was pretty cool how they twisted that a little bit, and I wasn't expecting it, and then now looking back at it, I was like, oh well, duh. Like,
yeah,
of
but I
course
mean,
it's her.
but it really
it was
wasn't
nice.
her. So if you go back one more, we had one more layer of it, right? We
Right,
had
it was
one
the
more
nightshade.
Yeah.
one more layer. So
It was yeah.
The Gates was going to go crazy on that whole fucking school, man, back in the 90s.
So
yeah.
it's just interesting how
Yep.
they're feathering in these, what to me are very interesting plot points to an otherwise pretty whodunity show that I still not sure whodunity. Like we're still not sure who the monster is. We're still not sure, why the monster's out there, killing people like Eugene, or injuring or mauling people like Eugene. We're still not quite sure what the fuck is going on, and they're introducing whole other storylines that I don't know if they detract or if they add or if they give you just a little bit of window into what's going on with the incompetence with the police, with the some of the corruption in Jericho and so on and so forth.
So I'm gonna have a
There was corruption.
Yeah,
there.
so I'm gonna give you I don't know, an undesired negative. So I'm not sold on this show. I think that this show or these episodes really kind of detracted from me, and was a step back. And I was trying to put my finger on it for the last couple of days because for whatever reason, I feel like I'm the only one that's having trouble with this. My wife's watching it. She loves these episodes. She liked them more than the first four. But ultimately, what I'm frustrated with is that I feel like each episode is just rambling along, and it's building towards the big climax, but nothing's actually happening. And I'm really, really tired of just wandering through
That's
this
nice.
season. I get it's a season. It's not, it's not just an episode thing. It's not episodic, but man, I need something more to keep my interest. Like her acting and her character and the writing, the cute, clever writing that she has. It's great, but at the same time, it's not enough for me to really devote myself to really liking this show. So, Jer, I know you got something to say.
That's right.
I actually think this episode was a major it really changed a lot of things regarding to the arc of Wednesday, because in this episode you're actually seeing like layers being pulled. You're seeing her actually having feelings now. She's trying to hold back these feelings about her family and the guilt that she's feeling with Eugene. She's questioning everything. She's very emotional in this episode here. And I think you see the character development of Wednesday in this episode. And I think that for me personally, I'm liking that, and I'm loving how it's going that direction.
Right? I need more plot than just character development. There has to be something that's keeping me going. And right now, there's not really a whole lot that's keeping me going.
Well, this episode, then it actually answered a lot of questions regarding to Gomez's past. I mean, for the longest time, for the first 4 episodes, we're thinking like, whoa, did he murder someone? So it actually shows three things in one. One, he did not murder something. 2, the Gates, this whole other family, was trying to kill this school and everything like that, and possible setting up for even, a link to that family. So it gives us more of a plot regarding to what's going to be expected coming up in the next couple episodes. So
Eddie, go ahead, because I have something to add there too. Eddie, go ahead.
So I think I'm agreeing more and more with Brandon, because I was a little iffy on the track with this episode. I enjoyed there was another layer, but then I felt like it wasn't deep enough. Like they could have made it more. They should have made it a little bit more for me. And I feel like you still like I don't know, is it prairie dogging maybe? I don't know if that's the right word, but you're prairie dogging. Like you get in and out. Like, okay, just fucking go with it. Just peel it back and let's just fucking give it to me. I feel like they're like dancing around the whole, because they're trying to spread it out with the whole season. I understand. And I got a little over by the end of this episode. I was a little bit over this episode. I was like, okay, let's fuck it. Like I was expecting
Eddie's right.
more
Right.
by the end of the
It's like
episode.
they're trying to make a movie.
It was a letdown.
Right? They're trying to make a
4.
movie, but they end up making a series out of it. To me, this should have been, or this could have been a 3 to 4 hour miniseries, but instead we're making it into a season. I just feel like it doesn't have the sustaining power.
So I just don't. I just
wow.
don't,
Yeah.
I don't agree. To me, this was the turning point in this episode was the turning point in the show. Number one, and the turning point of Wednesday as a character, because what it did is it ended up loosening the relationship between her and her mother just enough for her mother to be honest with her about the visions that she's having, and to warn her about how this is going to work, and that someone's going to reach out from her past, and that someone's going to, it's going to take a lot from her. And she finally had that breakdown with her mom, and that she got the truth out of her. And this whole episode was Wednesday finding the truth about her father, the truth about her family, the truth about the school, the truth about what happened all those years ago. The truth was revealed, and it allowed Wednesday to approach solving the murder, the new mystery, with the actual facts, and not this cloud of Jericho, not this cloud of what she's been told, but instead she can now trust this crazy ghost from the past, because it's a family member that's going to guide her through the visions that she's having. And the visions are going to, they become this cornerstone of the show. And as you start to develop all these characters, she's got to trust something. And right now, before this episode, she trusts nothing. And all of a sudden, she got clarity on everything, and she can move forward from here into the rest of the episodes and actually solve the problem, solve the mystery.
I agree with you that, Sean, because honestly, like, you find out so many different things in this episode. You find out that she finds out Wednesday that her principal is a shapeshifter. Right. She fucking put that together right now.
And why is episode 5?
And who's protecting the school, not Jericho, the principal.
Yeah.
She finds an ally in the principal that she can trust, that Gwendolyn Christie has the school as her priority, and not yet. She does 5. When Gwendolyn Christie accepts the turn of Gomez becoming innocent of the crime and learning about the nightshades. Yes, she does.
Did she like Gomez?
No, she always held Gomez as the murderer. She always thought Gomez was a murderer. So the fact that she was able to accept it, and accept the nightshade story, and accept all these different things, to me, once again, you have Wednesday growing into she got an ally at school. She's got an ally with Bianca. The Nightshades, the new Nightshade group, is starting to form around her and to support her. To me, all of these things are so pivotal to the story.
Yes, but okay, so here's my rebuttal. Here's my rebuttal. Here's my issue. And Ed, I think you said it really, really well, is that it's just taking so much fucking time. It's rambling on. I think that what their problem is, they don't have enough, I don't want to call them cliffhangers, they don't have enough real moments that really get us to go through 8 episodes.
Yes,
and I'm not saying that the story is bad. I think the story is great. I think the characters are great. I think the problem is that there's not enough. I was trying to explain it to Amanda. Is there's not enough up and down for a show. It's more of just a slow, steady build. And I bet you, I haven't seen episodes 7 and 8, but I bet you, and I know you guys would say it, that 7 and 8, it's a beautiful climactic moment that it all comes together, and that's fantastic. But the problem is the journey to get to that moment, to me, is boring. It's all it is. I don't think it's a bad show. I just
Oh
think it's a
wow,
boring show.
I'm pretty.
So
I'm really shocked
so
about that one.
I
Yeah.
I feel like they're like I'm very close to Brandon. I feel like they're one episode
Yeah.
behind almost. Like I feel like this episode I just feel like I should have had this last episode. It feels like it just
Yeah.
I don't know why. That's how I feel. Like it's something about it makes me feel like they're they are dragging it for me. And I don't know. I also feel like Wednesday's badass.
Mhm.
Like when I agree with that. That's a big reason why I keep watching the show. But the rest of the characters, well, why did you all of a sudden now bring Catherine Zeta-Jones and Gomez into episode 5? I could have been sooner. Like this is the first time I'm hearing them since episode
So
1. And I don't know. That's
I
me.
think that we as a culture are so instant gratification focused on, and this is the problem with binging a show. We're so fucking caught up in what happens. We don't enjoy the ride of how we get to what happens.
But the ride is
I
boring.
think that
Then
this
that's
show-
a shitty ride.
I don't think the ride is boring. I think the ride is incredibly entertaining.
I don't know what else an episode can fucking do to keep
Yeah,
someone's
Yeah.
focus on it. It literally it showed 4 or 5 different things, and then also too showed Wednesday go out of her element and actually do something totally different, where you actually see her emotions for the first time and actually trying to solve not one but 2 different mysteries.
This episode makes me realize they're putting a lot on Wednesday.
It's Wednesday's
Well,
show.
I know, but
Wednesday.
here's the thing,
It's
and I think
Wednesday's show,
Ed hit the nail on
Yeah,
the fucking
but
head, and that is that they did it too late. They have done it too late. You're right. No, you guys are right that there are some beautiful revelations here. And I'm not saying it's a bad show. Please don't think that I'm going there. But what I'm saying is it doesn't deserve the raving reviews that some people, too, you guys, are really giving it. I think that now, granted, it's all subjective, but the problem is, my subjective opinion is that this show could be fucking amazing, but the problem is it's too slow of a build, and it's not about instant gratification. What it is, it's about
5,000 people disagree with you.
5,000. 5,000's not that many.
Yeah, they have an 8.0.
Actually,
they have an 8.0 on IMDb for this episode. 5,000 reviews.
It went down.
It did go down. Yeah, it's going down.
It went down.
8.0, Ed. 8.0.
My ratings are going to go down too.
8.0 is a fabulous.
Like I said, I'm kind of shocked. Like I don't know how you put all these elements into last episode. I mean, seriously, I thought this was a great bridge from this previous episode to this episode, and I think it was a gem actually. And I thought it really actually did a lot of things for the character and for the story. And what you're going to see. It was laying all the crumbles and it was laying all the things that you are expected to know when at the end of the season, man, which is pretty fucking cool.
Anyway, so we want to talk about episode 6?
Yeah, sure. Let's go into episode 6.
Oh man, now I hurt poor Sean's feelings. Pugsley's just sad now.
You know my feelings.
No.
You can be wrong. It's fine.
Hey, question: if you receive a letter at the end, like someone telling you to go to the crypt at midnight, would you take that fucking letter and go, or would you be like,
Absolutely.
nah, nothing good happens after midnight?
Well, Wednesday goes. Wednesday definitely
That's
goes.
like
It could be
slumber
it could be
party.
so many things.
Yeah.
What? So people gonna get murdered? I'm so there.
Yeah.
So one I forgot. I read something, or one of my friends told me Wednesday. So everyone's expecting Wednesday from the movies, right? That's a different Wednesday. This Wednesday takes more back from the very beginning of she. This is a whole different Wednesday now. I feel like Wednesday has developed characters over the different shows from the very beginning. She had more life in her. Wednesday in the movies was very dull, but very bland. I don't know. I mean, no emotion. And this Wednesday has more emotion. And I know people were almost offended by that, but now I'm enjoying this Wednesday personally.
She takes a step back here, man. She doesn't want to be with her friends. She doesn't want to fucking be around people. She just wants to focus on this murder, and that's it. And she'll use whoever she needs to use to get what she's looking for.
Do you think that she ever want to be around friends? Do you think that she'd ever be a friend person?
I think you can tell that she's always pushed people away. And you're seeing people that don't want to be away from her. That they're like, hey, we want to be with you. We want to be a part of your life. Your friends, this fucking Twilight love triangle that's happening and shit like that. I mean, she's got this.
Don't they throw her a surprise birthday party?
That's what this whole episode. That's what whole episode 6 is about. Is her, she's gotten too comfortable with all the people at Nevermore. She's gotten too comfortable with all these her parents, and she's tremendous offenses there that she starts to push herself away from all of her people, and then that's when she starts to try to summon Goody Addams to teach her how to control her psychic abilities. So I think you have kind of that whole concept moving in that direction.
But like her roommate comes in and she totally like just messes it up, everything for her, you know. But did you guys kind of feel kind of sad that they were like breaking up as a friendship, you know, at the end of the episode?
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, this is kind of like
Enid is
sad,
to me is
dude.
one of the best characters, and it's just because she plays. I think the actor plays it just so fucking perfectly, in that she is such a contrast from Wednesday, but at the same time, it's not caricature, even though it's kind of caricature-y. And I loved, when you talk about true development of character, I loved seeing Enid hurt. That sounds terrible, but it showed that she's a genuine person, and it showed Wednesday what Wednesday ultimately is capable of doing. And I think it was a really good moment for Wednesday as, you know, a development of character. So I really, really liked that breakup moment.
It was sad. What do you guys think of like Xavier, man? Like, you know,
maybe having like, obviously he's having premonitions about Wednesday also, right? He saw Wednesday a couple times, so like he's a guy of he has a lot of emotions in him, but you do get the feeling like he's hiding big secrets, and I almost I am interested with his power. It's almost really, really confusing with what the hell he can do.
do you think he can actually like draw something and make it come out alive and actually fucking control it or something like that? I mean,
No,
you know,
he gets stabbed.
No, because I think we saw that with the
That's
spider.
kind of what he did.
Right? The spider, he didn't have any kind of agency.
Yeah,
over
but what
it.
he did with the monster, right?
When he slashed his leg?
But the monster scratched him.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is he doesn't have
No, like a couple
he
episodes
doesn't
ago.
have any agency over it. I think that he creates it, and it basically has a mind of its own. So I think that,
or is he developing
Oh,
his
shit.
power and he will have agency over it?
yeah,
You know, is that the question? Is it
right.
You know, and this is one of the questions I had about this episode, particularly and the monster generally, is, you know, is the monster, clearly the monster has some soft spot for Wednesday, you know, somehow. Either it's protecting Wednesday or it's not harming Wednesday for some reason. But it seems to ruthlessly go after everyone else who, I mean, if you look at a character like Eugene, didn't really do anything to deserve it. So is the monster trying to be controlled and not being controlled? Is the monster, you know, the embodiment of a drawing? Is the monster, you know, what is the monster? And we still don't have a fucking answer to this, and it drives me crazy.
Pisses me off.
But then I think of a show called
Yes.
Lost, where we watched a smoke monster for fucking 5 seasons, and the reveal was terrible. But
I agree.
shut your mouth when you
what
talk
I'm
about
saying
Lost,
is
okay?
that,
Lost these
you know,
days.
I'm just playing. Keep going, Sean.
I'm negative about Lost. Anyway, I'm thinking about that kind of concept, right? Slow burner reveal in Lost. I'm wondering if that's what we're going to get here, which is to say, I like the mystique around his power. You really don't know what it is. You really don't know if he has agency over his drawings. You know, clearly he doesn't have complete agency because it scratched him and the spider kind of went a little crazy. So is he working on trying to control that? I don't know. Those questions to me in that little shack have a lot to do with the rest of the show.
For me, at this point, there's two possible suspects. It's Xavier or Tyler. Is that just anyone
think they're
else?
setting it up that
it's
way.
very obvious.
Yeah, they're
It
setting it
has
up
to be
that
one of
way.
them. But then it makes you think, because the last episode, you have Eugene kind of fell upon the cave, right? And you saw somebody walking up there like, you know, a bomb, like trying to get rid of evidence.
So we're discounting.
right?
We're discounting Gwendolyn Christie as a suspect.
I'm discounting
We're
her, but no,
discounting
I think it's
the
a psychologist. It's a fucking
chief of
psychiatrist.
police, the chief of goddamn police,
The psychologist.
Psychologist, or also Christina
Ricci.
Ricci
I
might
mean,
be a little.
Like, listen, guys. I mean, they go to the Scooby-Doo fucking haunted mansion shit like that, right? And they get lost and they get separated. Fucking Tyler comes out from out of nowhere. He's like, ugh, I'm all scratched up. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, yo. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, I thought that was the funniest thing. To me, right there, I'm like thinking to myself, like, okay, I mean, come on, dude. You can't pull that shit right
What we
there,
are
dude.
seeing is somebody who takes pride in preservation of dead things, which to me is like, oh, the psychiatrist and her little squirrel fascination, which by the way is not, it's not a MacGuffin. That's something really, really important there. What I thought, you know, we haven't really talked about the whole Gates connection and the Gates family and the missing sister, who we all know is going to be the fucking psychiatrist. I mean, that's just writing on the wall, Scooby-Doo. But I thought that scene or those scenes, I guess, that segment in the Scooby-Doo house was fantastic. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was on the edge of your seat. I thought it was really well done.
Did you guys get that Frankenstein vibe at the end
Yes.
in the basement where you see all the parts and shit like that? You're like, okay, what the fuck is going on here, man? So yeah, I actually like this, and I actually like eating. Was her name Enid? What? Enid. I'm gonna say this: she's the true horror film knowledge, and she's like, if you split up, one of your friends ends up dead. She's like, that was the funniest fucking thing right there, yo.
You almost forget that they have powers, because at that point you're like, bro.
Yeah. She needs to
fucking
use
wolf
your
cat
out.
senses. You're obviously
use
dog
senses. That's one thing.
Yes.
That's one thing. Like, so I remember watching Harry Potter, right? And fucking it's the end of the first movie / book, and he's like, "How am I supposed to start a fire?" And Hermione's like, "Your wand, idiot! Use your fucking wand!" And it's like it's the same thing in this show. It's like, your powers, moron! Use your powers. You got powers.
That was fucking funny, man.
So that's what makes me think with this when they do the Scooby Doo house, you have Wednesday, Enid, and
It's Enid. It's Enid.
I don't know the name. Yeah,
and
then you have Tyler, right? You have Tyler, and then you have them three, and then I think Xavier comes out of nowhere. No, or
I think he does come out of nowhere. Yeah.
Well, you got Tyler and Xavier, who to me like have a tracking device on Wednesday, because every time Wednesday's like out doing something, one of them's like, I'm gonna pop up here.
Twilight.
Why do you keep saying Twilight? What? I don't understand.
It's a combination of
because
Twilight
either your team Tyler or your team Xavier, man.
In Twilight, I am Team Jasper. There's zero question about this. Why?
Jasper guy.
I'm not. I'm on Team
dude,
Thing. Thank you very much.
You can't blame Tyler on this one, dude. He was just like, "Oh, cool, we're gonna go on a date," and she's like, "Wait a second, why do we have this other fucking person here?" And she's like, "I thought we were gonna have a girls' night out. What the fuck?"
Fucked up by Wednesday.
Wednesday was the dick in this one, dude.
Yeah.
I love how she's socially awkward. I love how socially awkward and certain of her life's choices she is. So she's absolutely uncomfortable with all of these people, and yet she continues to put herself in these positions to make her uncomfortable, knowing full well that she's going to be uncomfortable. It's almost like she's reveling in her discomfort as like her punishment or torment, and then enjoying the fucking torment. Yeah, it's so twisted. It's so twisty.
Yeah. No. So we're talking about her development as a character over 5 and 6, and I will say that it's good. I love how she is stepping out of her comfort zone, which is stepping into other people's comfort zones. And I think one of the best moments is at the end when she says, please. Like, to me, that was such a beautiful moment. She asks, instead of demanding, she asks. We see her trying. I don't think she's succeeding completely, and I think that's the whole point. But I do see her trying, and I really do like that that development of her character.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. Actually,
so what about?
Let me just ask a question. So,
go ahead, Brandon.
How far? I know, Sean, you've already finished it. Jer, how far have you gotten? Have you finished the whole season? Oh fuck!
Oh yeah, dude.
Ed,
I'm done.
have you finished?
I just finished episode 7. I purposely waited with 7 and 8 because I wanted to make sure I didn't get too far ahead and start talking about the wrong episode. So I tend to do that with shows.
What's your question?
No, that was my question, because I want to just see. Because I want to ask you guys questions, but then I don't want to, because basically I want to say
ask away.
Okay, fine.
Ask away. The listeners want to know too.
Yeah,
it's more of your personal opinion. I want to know who you think.
It doesn't matter.
Who you think it is? Okay, fine. At this point, who would you have thought it is?
Yeah.
The monster.
At this point, I thought. I can tell you right now is I'm thinking it's a therapist. I'm thinking that the therapist is just twisted enough, has just enough inroads to the world. She's got this creepy methodology. She lives in Jericho. She's a woman of the right age. She kind of fits all the little pieces, and I'm like, all right. So I'm really leaning heavily on the therapist.
I'm with Sean on this one because there was a situation here where there was flowers next to Eugene, right? It was like these particular type of flowers. When they go to the Scooby-Doo mansion and whatnot, there were flowers in this girl's Lauren's room, in the bedroom, right? And then the next episode, in the next scene or something like that, you see her have the flowers, and she brings that over, and I'm like, oh,
I thought that was the revelation of the episode.
Yeah, I thought that was it.
And quite frankly, if you look at her as a character, one of the things that I thought was very interesting was she did not seem altogether, excited or enthusiastic to bring out Goody Addams in Wednesday. That wasn't part of the therapy sessions. That wasn't part of, like, her powers were never a focus. Developing her powers were never a focus of therapy. Yeah. And so when you had Morticia in the previous episode kind of unlock that part of her, I was like, oh shit. Now you're going to have Goody Addams essentially reveal that the therapist is the arc.
I literally thought that she did the hit and run with the mayor and shit like that. I actually thought that was her. I was like, oh fuck, there she is.
So okay, so is the Gates family supposed to be a direct descendant of Crackstone? Is that what we're supposed to get from this?
You saw something here, right? You saw that they had that little hidden passageway where it's just like this secret fucking worship of Joseph Crackstone. So you're like putting everything together here, man. Episode 6, man, was one of those murder mystery type of episodes that everything was kind of coming together and whatnot, and then boom.
Yep. Well, and I'm sorry, but you don't get to the revelation without the character development, and I enjoy the character development more than the God dang it! You know who I sound like? Brandon. Amazing. Yeah.
And I'm taking on a Sean atmosphere a little bit.
No, come on. He prioritizes character development over story development every day, every moment of his life, except for this episode.
Now he likes the action. He likes the action and everything, dude.
So no one asked me who it was so far.
Eugene.
Okay. To be honest, I think because at moments I thought I was with you, Sean. I thought it was a therapist. Just as like, she's just not in this episode. She's not in this season enough why is she still around? Like, she's too good to be true. And she's a therapist with a whole bunch of, like, why is she here? And the age matched up with the flowers. You obviously noticed with the flowers with Eugene. Why the hell is she? And then I also started to notice, for some reason, I always thought it was Uncle Fester. I don't know. I just thought, like, maybe he has a side, like he has something that he's in the town and somebody's following him. I thought it was something random.
So the other, I'll draw your attention to another character, which I suspected, but I really don't think it's her because of her storied history with the Addams Family, which is Christina Ricci. I thought from the first episode she was nefarious, had something to do, and it's really hard for me to accept that now moving forward because she's kind of an integral part of Wednesday's development, and I kind of like her, and I would like to see her for the next couple of seasons. Yes. And I don't think that they would ruin. I don't know. Maybe my selfish mind, I wouldn't ruin the only legacy cast member, in that way. But that's just how I was. That's how I was and am feeling.
Well, then, you know what? We got episode 7 and 8 to figure out what's going to be happening for us and everyone else. Hey, who's that? Oh, shit. I thought that was fucking, like, Sawyer fucking popping up. I'm like, yo, he puts me in bed, dude. And that brings us to the end of our review. Now it's time in the podcast where each of the hosts provides his score on the following scale. Eddie, little elf man, can you provide the scale, please?
Look, Brandon. Look.
Brandon, look. That reminds me of The Hangover.
All right, guys. So 0, the perfect movie. You don't need shit to enjoy it. 1, a feel-good first cocktail. 2, a happy buzz. 3, an Uber lifting home. 4, rough morning watch of shame. 5, blackout, shit-faced, spring break drunk. Gentlemen, let's start with Jeremiah with the first episode, with episode 5.
Episode 5. Okay, so episode 5, dude. Seriously, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I might have seen a different episode. I thought the episode had a lot of things that it really did for the season. I think you saw an episode where you saw the kids actually kind of chose their own path away from their families. You found not one, but 3 mysteries that was solved regarding to what we were looking for and everything like that. You see Wednesday kind of like, her shield being down. Like, she is very emotional in this episode, feels lost and angry and guilty at the same time. I love the character arc in this episode, and I thought the story was really good, man. I thought it was a perfect episode from episode 4 to go to episode 5, and seriously, it layered the next, episodes, what we were supposed to expect. I thought this was a really good episode. So, for me, this is a 1 drink for me. I didn't have a problem with this one, guys. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, so I couldn't agree with you more. I think that this episode in particular, episode 5, it developed the characters more than any other episode of the show. I think Wednesday finally was able to get past her problems with her mother, finally start to get allies, finally start to know the truth about her father. And there's a scene when she talks to her dad, and there's this little back and forth, and I can't remember the exact words, but she talks about individuality and being strong and learning how to persevere and having this great relationship with her father, because her father is doubting whether he's been a good dad to Wednesday, and Wednesday reaffirms to him that no, you have taught me everything that is, that I need to survive, and this is why you've done an okay job. And to me, in a show that could have very easily made fun of that and made it dark, it actually went the other way and made it very touching. And this episode, to me, had a couple of touching segments when she's digging the grave to find the nightshade from the victim. That's where Morticia opens up about her visions, and they started when she was a kid, and how she couldn't handle them necessarily very well. It takes a lot out of her, and it opens up the concept of Goody Addams coming in and finishing out the season, and she can now depend on Goody Addams. And I think that there was a lot of internal and external change to Wednesday's character from this revelations about her parents in this episode. So I'm going to give this episode a 0.5. I loved it. I thought it was the heart of the season. I thought, once again, the acting on Morticia's part was just magnificent. So 0.5. I thought it was just great. Eddie, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Looking at the benefits of this episode, I do see how it did move the story along. Like I said earlier, though, I felt like it dragged with the story. I feel like it should have been part of episode 4, or it could have been maybe after episode 5. I just felt like it was lacking something with me with the whole parent come to the week conference. You get a lot of information with the mom and dad, with the background of the killing, with the Bates. But I didn't like Gomez as much in this episode personally. I something fell off the track with me with this episode, with this series. It doesn't mean I hate the series. It just means this was probably my second to least favorite episode. That's how I feel. And I do think it was still really quality done. But overall, I enjoyed Gomez. I enjoy Wednesday and that whole conversation. Their relationship was amazing. I didn't believe Gomez and I can't say her name.
Morticia?
I can never say it. Morticia. I always say Morticia. But it was just, there was so many different scenes in this movie, the show that I enjoyed. And then I also was like, oh, I didn't really care for that. And Wednesday is smart. And I feel like this episode, they were dragging it for a little bit. I feel like she could have solved it by now, personally. But it's something I will definitely still watch. This episode, like I said, it took a little hit from the last episode. I still think it's still a good average episode for me. So I'm really going to go a 2.5. That's how I feel.
Yeah. So
Brandon.
Eddie, I feel like you and I are blood brothers at this point. I couldn't agree with you more with everything. Yeah, that's not
doesn't happen often.
So for me, it was a missed opportunity. I thought that they could have done so much more with the parents. And I get what you guys are saying, that yes, there are those beautiful moments. And I agree, that moment with Gomez and Wednesday, when she affirms that he was the father that he doesn't think he is. As a dad, that's like, it hits you hard. And I think that was a really beautiful moment. But at the same time, when you look at everything, like, yes, there's revelations. Oh my God, the nightshade, and he got stabbed by this person. He got stabbed by this person with the Bates character. Like, that's interesting. But at the same time, to me, it slowed down the whole show. And like you guys are saying, it was an independent episode where really, yes, it kind of moved the story along, but it really kind of, to me, slowed the story down. And this was not, Eddie said this is a second to least favorite. This was my least favorite episode, bar none. So for me, it's not a bad episode. I was just thinking about it as Eddie was talking. Like, this is the type of show, at least at this point, where I'm really happy that I'm watching it, and I'll watch season 2 and season 3 and so on. But it's not one that I'm going to say to my kids, hey, you have to see this show, and I can't wait to watch it again. And if I never see this show again at this point, I'm cool. I don't feel like I lost anything out, where there's other shows where it's like I can't wait to relive it, to watch it again, and to really enjoy it. And so, like I said, it's not a bad episode. It's definitely not a bad show, but for me, it's an average. It's not below average, but it's average, so I'm going to give it a 2.5 also. So that's what I got.
All right, when you take those four scores and divide them by 4, Ed, what does that give episode 5 a average rating of?
It gives a 1.625.
Where does that put us on
1.625.
the scale of the episodes so far?
It's ranked number 3rd actually for the series. So episode 4 is number 1, episode 3 is number 2, and now episode 5 is number 3 actually.
And then 2 and 1.
And then 2 and 1.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's right in the middle.
Yeah.
I can't be high.
Awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on to episode then 6 and see. Let's start with.
Let's reverse it. Reverse it.
Let's start
Reverse
with
it.
Brandon.
Yeah.
Start with Brandon.
So I watched these 2 episodes in back-to-back nights. I didn't binge them and watch them in the same night, but I watched them back-to-back nights. I saw one night and saw the next one, and I was really feeling kind of frustrated with the show after 5, as you guys have heard for the last hour. And then 6 was this beautiful sigh of relief that I needed, and it was because they got back to what to me what's interesting, which is that the mystery. It wasn't about side mysteries. It wasn't about building the ethos, and wasn't about building the mythos. It was really about building on the story that they started. And yeah, to me, there's a lot of problems with the show in general. I don't think that they built enough backstory into the surrounding characters. I think that the focus, like Eddie was saying, is so much on Wednesday, aptly named as the show, but it's so much on Wednesday that in a lot of ways we're losing out on a lot of the surrounding players, I guess is the best way of saying it. That said, I thought that them going to the house was beautiful. We finally got that cliffhanger that I do think that episodes need, because especially if we're trying to say, well, don't worry about binging something. We don't need to worry about binging it, but we need to think of this as a truly episodic thing where each episode should make us want to watch that next episode. And I think that 6 does that beautifully. For me, I really had to stop myself from hitting the next button on the remote. So I really enjoyed this one. This is a major step up. For me, it's not a perfect episode, but it's a really, really good one. And so I'm going to give this a 1.25. So I'm splitting the difference in that last episode. So 1.25 for me. And so I believe that would be, is it Ed?
Well said, Brandon. This episode, definitely, I was not down as probably as much as Brandon, but I was thinking in my head, like, oh God, if this one dragged as bad as the last one, like I hope there's something there for me to, like, I'm not gonna quit ever. This I love Wednesday, the series, and I'm hoping that it picks back up for me. So for I mean, like the whole Scooby-Doo house, that was it was more on my seat this episode, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed back to the original, trying to solve that original mystery, and that throw off with the dad or the family, and you start getting this. Okay, this goes pretty deep now, and this episode makes episode 5 a lot better for me. So I said, okay, well, it brings up the story a little bit, definitely for me. I enjoy this one a lot better with Xavier and Tyler and that little bad chemical romance between them 3. I like it. I mean, I think it does well, but I got more what I wanted to see in this episode, and it went back to maybe the base of the whole Wednesday for me, of the series. So for me personally, I'm real close with Brandon tonight. I do see this is a 1.25. I like that score, and I'm going to go with 1.25, Brandon.
High five.
Sean and Jeremy.
You guys are so cute.
I guess for me, I find Legacy, when they bring in parents and when they bring in other characters, I seem to like those better than the primary characters. I'm not a huge fan of Tyler and Xavier. I think they're boring, similar characters that don't really have a lot of depth to them. But that can be said about a lot of the characters on the show, is that they have not expounded on the depth of very many of them. I think Bianca has had some character development. I think Enid has had some character development, although not enough. Poor Eugene had the most, and he's on death's door. I think that honestly, the shining star of the show continues to be both Wednesday and Thing. I think Thing is just fantastic.
Thing's amazing.
For me, this episode was very good. it picked up where 5 left off. It opened the door to the rest of the season. It started back on the track of, okay, we're going to solve the OG mystery. My problem, I guess, with it is that Wednesday is torn by her character. She's torn with needing the movie, the cinematic, the whatever you want to call it, the series requirement of having more than her on screen. So they have to put her with other people. And every time she goes with other people, she kind of betrays who she is as a character, as a loner and antisocial. And I think that this episode threaded that line fairly well. I feel like she's giving in to this group mentality. And I know what happens in the next episode, so I know that it fixes itself, but it left me with a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not going to lie. Like she was part of a gang that was solving the mystery. And I don't like that. It's supposed to be her solving the mystery. She shouldn't be depending on other people to help her solve the mystery. And so for that, I kind of knocked the episode a little bit because I think it's anti her character. Did anyone else feel that, or is that just me?
I looked at that as part of her character development.
I didn't feel that way.
That she needed.
Is that she's starting to acquiesce to other people's visions and views?
Well, you see in this episode that she put people in danger, and now she kind of realizes
she gets called out for that
in a lot of ways. That her selfish
she gets called out for that. And I think that's a really big moment.
So it's like I kind of made her open her eyes up and everything like that. She cares now. That's what you see.
And I guess it's just to me that caring is contrary to her character because she's supposed to be an unfeeling character. So either she's developing beyond what we know of Wednesday, or she's betraying her character, one of the two. But anyway, 5. I think it definitely was a good episode. I'm going to give it a 1. I think it was a really strong entry in the Wednesday mythology, and I really was looking forward to the next episode, 7, with the culmination of kind of her discovering who she is and then approaching it from that. Jeremiah.
Yeah, I actually thought the last episode was a little better and everything, but I really enjoyed this episode so much because it got back into the whole mystery element of what you're trying to figure out as a viewer and whatnot. And I just love how it ends, man. You have a murder, you have betrayal, you have breakups, you have a mystery that you're going further down the abyss, that you had a haunted mansion and everything like that. You learn more new things about it. Once you kind of solve something else pops up. You have this whole kind of Frankenstein layer that's happening in the basement. So it makes your head and it just makes your thoughts going everywhere. And that's fucking amazing in this fucking series where I'm like, fuck, okay, you got me. Let's go to the next fucking episode.
Is this a serial show though? I mean, is that what this is? Is this a serial show? Is it a show that has cliffhanger after cliffhanger after cliffhanger after cliffhanger?
I think
Bro, you know what this reminds me of? This you're gonna make fun of me. It feels like
to me, it's a little Smallville-ish. To me, it's like it's a group of people always trying to find a mystery. There's always a bigger mystery.
It's kind of like Riverdale in a lot of ways.
Riverdale is a good comparison.
But I honestly think that I just love this arc of Wednesday's character because you see her kind of actually have an understanding that it's just not her anymore. And that she needs to actually kind of figure it out. But in a lot of ways, in the end of the episode, she's like, fuck it. It is me. I'm going to figure this one out. I'm going to take the ring. I'm going to take the control of this situation. And I'm going to solve this fucking mystery. And I love that part here. So this was a fun episode, man. This was easily not like a 1.25, but it's not a 1. I'm going to go in the half of that one. This is going to be a 1.15. I actually really enjoyed the shit out of this one. 1.15.
For somebody who gives me shit about my weird ratings.
Stop. This is my first time doing this with you, Brandon. This is me just winking at you, by the way.
When you take those 4 and divide it by 4, Eddie, what does that give this episode an average rating of?
It gives us a 1.1625.
I mean, obviously it's unique. Where does it put it on the list of episodes? It's better than episode 4.
Yeah, so episode 4 is number 1. Episode 6 is number 2. Episode 3 is number 3. Episode 5 is number 4. And then you got episode 2 as number 5, and then number 1 is the last episode.
I do feel a build up now. Like I'm starting at the end of this episode. I was like, oh, there's a build up coming, and obviously the end of the season's happening. But like I was like, oh, it's
working towards
about to
something.
happen, and it's working towards. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it.
All right, we're getting to the finish line, guys.
All right. Well, if.
Oh,
like man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey style.
If you enjoyed our
it.
review, you're a fan of our podcast, we ask you please subscribe wherever you're listening and give us a 5-star review on iTunes. I cannot express to you how important it is to free your little fingers from their scrolling and actually write out a review on iTunes. Very important to help us grow. You can find us on Instagram at @gentlemanpodcast. @gentlemanpodcast. The dot means a lot. You can visit our website at gentlemanpodcast.com, or if you want to reach out to us, you can do so by email at hosts, HOSTS, at thegentlemanpodcast.com, and we're happy to receive your queries, questions, complaints, and we will likely respond to them if they meet our very, very low standard of response. With that, what do we have coming up? I guess we're finishing out the series here in our next episode. Is that correct, Jeremiah?
7 and 8.
Yeah, listeners, this has been a fascinating fucking series that we've been doing, but you know what? The results that we've been getting and the feedback we were getting has been fucking amazing. So it sounds like you guys like us doing series. So if you want, hit up our website, man. Let us know. Message us so we can see what other episodes or series that you want us to do.
However, I've been watching White Lotus, and that shit is very good.
That fucking shit is good.
Oh my god, that fucking shit's badass, bro.
Oh shit! I'm on the third episode.
If you had to explain that show to someone,
I get it exactly. It is an absolute mystery show, but there is no mystery and there's no finding out what happened. It's exactly what it is.
It's the Seinfeld mystery show. That's what it is.
Mystery show. Like, what the fuck's going on? Is it in the water? Is it in the drinks? Is it in the nope? There's zero investigation.
Listeners,
there's zero information. It's just watching people through a fishbowl.
Listeners, so yeah, if you have anything, or if you have like any type of series that you want us to look into and whatnot, just let us know, man, because this has been really fucking fun for us. We're gonna get ready for our season 4, and we have a lot of shit up our sleeve. Did that sound good? Because I usually say the stupidest things at the end.
That sounds fantastic, Jeremy. I really appreciate you.
Sorry, well, a lot of cool things up my sleeve. Shit.
I mean, we're not magicians.
Don't fucking listen to me.
Sake.
Well, Sean is he's an amateur.
Cheers,
he's a magician.
Sean's
he's a pretty damn good.
Sean's a pretty good magician.
Sean had everyone at Las Vegas, man, on the corner, and he was just doing the show, and he had like a mob of people watching him do his fucking trick.
Your card. You see a card? You see a card? Where's the card? Where's the card? Follow.
Shazam!
Where's the coin? What the fuck? I mean, there's a coin I'm following too?
And with that said, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, see you guys later.
See you next week, guys.
Cheers.